What? Hello, hello. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to my stream. I'm Paladin Ashe, here to stream for you again. And it has been a while since I streamed last, because last time like last week, I just did not have the time or space. And then this week, fucking, I had another reason I was going down to Nanaimo and wound up fucking exhausted the very next day. So, yeah, that was fun. So very fun. Immensely fun. It was not Daijoubu at all. Ugh. But hey, I had fun on the actual class day. We went and made started the makings of a bag. But anyways, let's get into it. Okay.
I can't do that yet.
As you do, gotta get everything buffed up again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I am told that Lysandra and a couple others have returned safely from captivity. All thanks to you. We thought they were as good as dead after they disappeared in the Blood Grove. I could not agree more. We've been cut off from Fort Icon long enough. When the Legion was forced to abandon the capital, we made Fort Icon our new base of operations. It's an old fortress to the far north, once used to protect the trade routes leading through the Asterkarn Mountains. However, when we began marching south, we encountered immediate opposition from both the cult and the Ethereals. Many of our men were killed, pincered between two opposing armies, and we were forced to retreat towards Homestead. The Ethereals now control the area known as the Conflagration, but the cult of Cthon has taken residence within the Dark Veil Gate, effectively cutting us off from our forces to the north. With the cult's front lines battered and their sacrifices freed, I believe it is now time to advance on their main position. Karaz, the Sigil of Cthon, the name has come up several times, including a recent bloody interrogation. We have no idea if he is the head of the entire cult, or if he is merely a pawn in someone else's game, but one thing is for certain. He is at the Dark Veil Gate. I need you to infiltrate the fortress and take out their leader. Lay waste to the cult's followers, let nothing stop you and reclaim...
Sure thing. So I was out in the Blood Grove with a few others foraging for food. They were when cultists showed up out of nowhere. They were using these things. They were like giant walking hounds full of teeth. The unlucky ones got torn apart on the spot. But 8 of us, myself included, were captured and sent to their camps to be harvested. Still have nightmares about those jaws of death. Girl fucking shaming me for bringing her back a book that I couldn't even read. What the fuck? Expand, 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 expand. Kill the non-believer. The fuck? Oh, that's a filtered piece if ever there was one. No, thank you. All right, that's what I needed. Oof, that hurt. Why are you bitches hitting me directly? That hurts.
Yeah.
Hip high wall. Lamau, time to fucking murder you people. Oh shit.
That's locked.
Lamau, they won't let me in because I murderlated them a bunch out of fucking place. Lamau. The ethereals are a manifestation of the ether itself, a source of pure arcane energy. There's a mine called Stone Rend Quarry that's become blasted with aether fire. A front for the One thing I appreciate in this game is its ability to allow you to stack quests and do a bunch of things and get that sweet, sweet, sweet instantaneous experience grind. That was always such a pleasure in WoW. I don't experience it much often in Final Fantasy XIV, but purely because in Final Fantasy XIV, I don't generally side quest much. The side quests are world building and not much more. If you just do the MSQ, you will level up. Oh, Death Vigil. We've got ourselves a taken to burn. What's going on? Ralia. Here to gloat over Nathaniel's prize. Want to look at me in the eyes. Okay, I'm gonna look her up because oftentimes this, let's see. Grim Dawn Ralia. Yeah, everything's okay. The game, when I click outside of window, does that. I was checking a thing. Let's see. And what are you? These farmers wouldn't know if I'd taken if it walked in on them fornicating with a coat. Look, I may have dabbled in the arcane here and there. Maybe. Cursed a few mongrels for getting too touchy. But I'm not some ethereal's puppet. How do I know you're, why do you think you, why did they think you're taken? These peasants see Aether Fire and immediately think it must be an ethereal's doing. Arcanists have been wielding the Aether for centuries. But nowadays, you might as well tie your own noose if you're a practitioner of the arcane. Then what are you? These farmers wouldn't know. How do I know you're telling the truth? Stares at you, her eyes piercing through you. Perhaps because you of all people should know better than to accuse people of being taken? I'm not convinced this woman is a taken. What do you mean? There's no proof. What? No, forget it. Lamb! She did. Wow. I hate to admit it. For a while there, I thought it was as good as dead. Thank you for my freedom. Earlier, you just stared at me like you thought you knew me. A little trick I picked up. You should work on that, blocking your thoughts. Not all mind readers are as benevolent as I am. Nevertheless, you are not taken either, though the after effects on your mind are astonishing. As if the ethereal was rearranging your brain. Rearranging how? Hard to say. Perhaps you should ask the one who did this to you. Ralia laughs. How did Nathaniel get the best of you? They must have seen me working the cauldron, saw some ether and glow, and jumped to their own crazy conclusions. They were on me before I could cast a single spell. I may have access to powers beyond most men, but I am no ethereal. Here, take this. It's a paltry gift, but at least I could offer my savior. I'll not forget this kindness. Farewell. Oh. A witch effigy. I feel like that is not going to be useful to me, though. Yeah, it's not useful to me. Whatever. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. That's a lot of shit. Kill the non-believer, but why not fill the non-believer? Lamau Empreg cult. Look. All I'm saying is I feel like there should be more Empreg cults in mythology. I mean, there's enough gods who gave birth to another god. Zeus did it twice. Once with Athena from his fucking dome, and once with Dionysus from his thigh. Hello there, stranger. You don't have the look of a cultist about you. What brings such a well-armed adventurer way out here into the middle of nowhere? I'm here to stop the cult of Cthon. What a noble and foolhardy pursuit after the grim dawn stranded me out here. I claim this cave as my home. But nature, it seems, has decreed that I die out here instead. An avalanche collapsed the entrance not a day ago. All my food and belongings are inside. Do you need help? You truly are a godsend. We'll need some dynamite in order to clear the way. Don't suppose you have any. If not, perhaps one of the mines may have some? Or perhaps a nearby quarry. If you have some, bring me some. We can clear the rocks and I can retrieve my belongings. Perhaps there is something among them that you would find acceptable as compensation for your aid. Sure, I'll help out. Here you go. Splendid. Stand back now. Don't want to get caught in the blast. Even in these trying times, you have found it in your heart to help out a stranger. It is commendable. Please follow me inside, that I can properly aid you. I must apologize for the ruse, but alas, I cannot travel very far from my tomb. You may die knowing that I will savor you as it drain the life from you. Deceitful wretch, you picked the wrong prey this time. I have haunted this forest for centuries, sapping unsuspecting fools such as yourself of their precious vitality. My cave has been sealed off time and again, but somehow it is always uncovered again thanks to naive dupes like yourself, or the greedy prospector who visited me last time. What hope do you have against me? Only one way to find out. Suck on it, bitch! Look, all I'm saying is vampires are mid as a threat in fantasy. The only reason they're ever even slightly a threat is because somebody gives them super strength and other things, but then wants me to think that they're more powerful than werewolves who already had that. Like, no, ladies, I will not. I repeat, I will not consume your vampire fiction and think they're awesome. You just want them because they're rich and abusive. But but they're so cultured and refined. Really? Are they? All your fiction ever has them do is talk about how they're really into the arts and also sucking your blood because you're more important than anything else. Because you're special and unique. Unlike all those other girls. Mm-hmm. Kill and kill again. Ow. Fuck off! I may as well just go out the front door now. For Paimon. Oh no, I'm despised by the Chthonians. Oh. I'm still recovering from the other day when I had to fucking basically be like, oh yeah, can't stream. I'm fucking exhausted. Literally, I got back from Nanaimo, a city further south of me along the island, and it had been quite the day, and I was quite burned out from all the interaction. And despite that, I did not fucking sleep well. I hate that sometimes. Like, I've never had that moment where people are like, I was so tired. The moment my head hit the pillow, I passed out. In all my memories, I can't ever remember having something like that happen. But lots of insomnia.
Can't do that yet.
Oh. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit! You bitch!
I can't do that yet.
Stuff's been kind of violating me recently in this place. Bill the non-believer. What? Okay, I think it's time I started considering the stuff that I've been picking up. Not an upgrade. Not an upgrade. Not an upgrade. No. 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 Nope. I'm just gonna have to accept that any offhand is unlikely to be an upgrade. Okay. Darkvale Gate, far north of Sorrow's Base Bastion. To the northeast of Bloodgrove, near Fort Heron, there is a powerful ethereal. Okay, so it's roughly around here, actually. I need to check onto the Twitch side of things. Starry bot, my beloved. Close that. There we go. Maybe it's up here. They did save an ethereal. And that's where I got that from. Okay. Ow. Excellent work. I was worried that she might have been too much for you, but you have proven to be quite resourceful. There is but one final piece we still require to bring back Malkadar, but that is not for me to discuss. Speak with the Keeper when you are able. She will have details. The Keeper. The Keeper of Tomes, the guardian of the Order's knowledge. She has become the Order's de facto leader after Ouroboroc's disappearance. Ouroborok is gone? Yeah, sadly, our master has left us several years ago. What end, we do not know. He left us no information as to his departure, nor has he tried to contact us. Has anyone gone after him? Yes, quite a few. Before the Grim Dawn, our accomplished acolytes would set out into the world for a year in order to search for our master. It was a rite of passage. Perhaps he will return one someday.
I can't open that.
The orb. A power I hope to obtain. Literally, I have that power. There you are. Master Farouk speaks highly of your contributions. The Order values a mind such as yours and the Black Legion's acceptance of our ways through your representation. But by now, I am sure you are eager to see the culmination of your efforts. However, one last thing remains before we can turn. What is it? Underneath Fort Icon to the north is a crypt dedicated to an ancient faith. Therein lies the tomb of Archon Bartholem, a once powerful priest. The Archon was cremated upon death, his ashes stored within the sacred urn. In order to bring back Melkadar, we must gather these ashes. They will serve as the core of his revenant body. Unfortunately, Kaimon's chosen have already moved in on the crypt, declaring its contents sacred to the misguided faith. Okay. You know, I'd love to play a game as a necromancer at one point where I don't wind up not being able to ever use a scythe. They're kind of fucking like Kino in terms of appearance, but they never have the stats I need. I feel like scythe is really just the DPS version of the necromancer. That's 6 points. Okay, the game's going to kind of pause for a moment because I need to check stuff in a window. Leveling, skills, I am what level again? $41. Max out Storm Spirit. Okay, Storm Spirit, Storm Spirit. Put 6 points into Blood of Dreeg, then take the bar to 32. The fuck is Blood of Dreeg? Oh, it's right there. Okay. Let's see. Nearby allies, binding with the Great Guardian confers. Okay. Okay, there we go. Oh, wait, no. It's been a while since I invested my devotion. I have 4 points to spare. Raven. Rowan's Crown. Okay, Rowan's Crown, Elemental Storm on Summoned Blight Fiend. Well, yes, I'll take all this delicious fucking shit on my minions. Burly monsters, it? I mean, I got one of these guys. Also, hey, evil autism, how it goes? I... better than I was about a day ago. I was supposed to stream yesterday, but I was completely bloody exhausted. And it was partially because I literally suffered a fit of insomnia after coming back from a class that was in a city about an hour and change south of me. So I had to do all that driving to and from. I think I was suffering from autistic burnout. Too much social interaction. Now we're cooking with gas. I forgot that you had to pick up your fucking experience. That always gives me a little bit of PTSD because once upon a time, I played EverQuest 2. And EverQuest 2 has some enthusing aspects and some horseshit aspects. The horseshit aspect is fucking if you die and don't get back your experience shard. Yeah, it's a large experience shard, but that's also an hour's worth of like resurrection sickness. And I actually no, not in hours. I think it was something absurd like 24 hours. And you can spend that offline. But I once decided to do the quest line to defect from my major city. Defection is how you basically feel like, I'm in city A, I don't like city A, I wish to go to city B. And that was a horrid experience because going from city A to city B requires you to basically get yourself killed. In a way that you can't retrieve your fucking shard. And you can do the quest as early as like level 12, but like you have to go through an area where most of the mobs will one-shot you just to get to like the fields outside of the city you wish to move to. At least that's how it was before. It became even more horse shit after they like, you know, added a bunch of content and got bought by another company. All right, that was their belief. A primordial chthonic deity of blood. Dynamite. So the process of collecting the blood was so slow, it was driving me crazy. So I set up a 2-tank system, then rigged the public bathhouse plumbing with a drain switch. Now we can drain the water from the tank, from the tubs, back into the water tank. But then flip the switch, the drain will go into a different tank. The pulley system with hooks was the crowning achievement. It hides out of sight when not in use, but when we are ready for sacrifices. Zarya has provided me with the nightshade root to dissolve with the bath salts. Combined with the hot water, it should lull our guests into sleep. Then we drain the water, perform the rites, flip the switch, and collect the offerings without spilling a single drop. Took some effort, but I am proud of it. Oh, that was Zarya just now. I've been informed by our messengers of the Bloodlord that preparations of the resurrection of the necropolis have begun. Our time to seize the town is now. The sheriff and the peacekeeper will be dealt with. With them gone, the remaining civilians will fall in line. Once news of this reaches the Black Legion, we will have to be prepared for the counter-assault. They must all learn that there's no place safer than the guidance of the Bloodlord. Okay, I have leveled. That was 6 points into Blood of Dreeg, right? Then bring it up to 32, okay.
It's me, Marinaria Casserole Man.
Devotion. Yay! It's me, Marinaria Casserole Man. I believe that's called Mariana and the Diamonds, Chanka. Did okay. Just playing Grim Dawn. Getting back onto the horse of streaming because I didn't stream for, nearly 2 solid weeks. Actually, I think I didn't stream for the week before that, but I've honestly forgotten. The only reason I didn't stream very much this week was because I had to go down island on Tuesday. So I was like, I don't have time. And then I was busy pretty much all of Wednesday. Got back Wednesday. Literally did not sleep that night. So I was exhausted Thursday. So fun. But oh well, I got to start making a bag. I was in a sewing class. It was a good class. I have to redo a bit because towards the end of the class, my mother proceeded to hand me a pen saying it was a fabric pen for marking on fabric because I couldn't see what I was trying to mark on my fabric with. This was a standard gel pen with white ink. So I'm like, what is this? Is this a fabric pen? And we kind of come to the realization that it is not. And there's not really anything I can do about that. Hey, yay. I might have to see about if I can, like, if I'm a deft touch, I might be able to just touch it up with some other colored gel pens. But that will just depend on whether I can get gel pens in those colors. Which shouldn't be too hard. Silver gray, orange red, that's about it. The fabric's print is basically like a very autumny look to it, so I'm going to have to practice my my coloring a bit. But hey, if I can edit out extra fingers or change skin colors on Scar from the Lion King for horny bots, maybe I can do that in real life. Chunk, I only say this shit because I get that response. That said, the sexual corruptor, let's say, bot of Scar has been quite popular. Certainly more popular than my stoic twunk butler Zazu bot. But in my defense, that bot's picture is shit. Like 100% perchance failed me on that one. How do I get through here? Seriously, it's hilarious how accurately it can depict fucking Scar, Mufasa, or Simba on perchance. But as soon as I'm like, generate Zazu. Generate Zazu, yellow and red hornbill. Not a one of the images looks a little bit like him. I finally was just like, fine, I'll just go with whatever looks about as close. And even someone was straight up like, that looks nothing like him. I'm like, let's shit. And the more generic bots don't really get much traction. I need to come up with like other characters I'll do a bot of. It doesn't really bother me that they don't get that because I'm still new to bot making. I feel like the amount of appreciation I've gotten for the bots I've gotten, I'm happy with that. Even if they are basically horny bots of Disney's The Lion King characters. And really only the ones that perchance will generate characters of.
I'll give you a good price on what I've got left.
I imagine imagine a lot of people kind of just want to cultivate their own world building, hence why like characters with actual lore, don't get as much attention. But the ones with the lore are more fun to make, in my opinion. I don't know. It's more fun to make a character that has more of a character than just like a floating non-existence. Spectral Wrath. I don't think you'll use. Fuck it. Skills. Oh god, that's actually quite the boost. But I'm not sure. Oh, fuck it. Undead Legion. What happened to my physique? Okay, that's an actual boost. That's a huge boost. Summon Hellhound. Summon Hellhound. I don't know what void is. Please explain. I thought you all already could get Saber Shiki. Like, from oh, is there banner in? Nice. I've never acquired her, but then again, I was always okay with just having like Assassin Shiki because honestly, she's such a good fucking welfare servant to have. I need to replace my shoulders because they are now not able to be worn. I choose to live with this. Okay. From this temptation I sunder us. Henceforth, mankind shall not have wings to bear him to paradise. Henceforth, he shall walk. Sal.
Put it to good use.
Okay. What? No, we never had wings. Sorry, that was a quote from fucking Vinat from Final Fantasy 14. I butchered it. But it's basically what she says right before sundering reality. like after you've like dealt with things in the area of Elpis and found out the source of the problems going on in the present, because you did a time travel. You basically you use the energy of an Asian soul and the crystal tower on the first to teleport to the past, where you interacted with the Ethereans before they were sundered. And while there, you meet Venat. And when you're flowing back to the present after all the events that be, you basically see, Venat doing the sundering and the reason she was doing it, which was quite literally that the people were like, shit, the world's all fucked now that we survived the apocalypse. We sacrificed half the world's population to survive the apocalypse. What's another half? So they were basically going to sacrifice all the people in the world so that the world could be like the way it was before. And she kind of put her foot down and was like, nope, we're not doing that. In fact, I'm making it so that we can't do that. This creation magic shenanigans has gone fully out of hand. So she basically split everybody into like fragmentary beings of themselves. Essentially, like, if you were to take yourself and reduce yourself into like 14 pieces, each one you, but each one less than the whole you, which would matter if it was a normal mortal, but the Ethereans were basically gods. So it doesn't really matter that much, only that they then proceeded to have like what we'd perceive as a mortal life, suffering from illnesses, dying of old age, that sort of thing. Yeah, pretty much. It is literally like an alter ego. Like, you run into your alter ego in the form of Ardbert, who's basically like you from the first, and he's basically you in many ways, but he's also his wholly complete own person. Okay, there we go. We're cleared out. We're cleared out. But yeah, basically, like, Venat proceeds to like whip out her sword after trying to convince the Ethereans, her brethren, not to do this, and they're all like, "You're just gonna fucking take this away from us?" And she's like, "Yeah, and it's not because I hate you or want you to suffer. It's because I genuinely love all the people of this world and see this as the worst possible outcome. So you know what? I'm going to make it so that you can't do it. You're just going to have to deal with it." Because Endwalker was very much about the idea of, like, you could basically jokingly say, it's like essentially applying Nietzsche's, Friedrich Nietzsche's writings as they were actually written, rather than the cringe-inducing nonsense that a lot of nihilists who are basically just like Christian-raised young people who want to freak out their parents. Like, you basically find out that there's probably no active deity in existence. And you also basically find out that there's no guarantee of like a meaning to existence. And that's kind of like a thing that caused several people to freak the fuck out. You ultimately are able to bring about the positive end of things, because in a way your character kind of knows the reason to go on living in the absence of, say, like of a greater deity, which is that living is enjoyable, for Christ's sakes. Like, quite literally, it's, yeah, it's gonna suck and it's gonna hurt sometimes, but you're going to experience, small joys and happinesses along the way. So why not live? I remember people getting so butt mad on the fucking forums too. There was this like probably annoying internet person, probably with pronouns in their fucking in their thing, and they were like, I hated this story because it made me have to speak with my therapist and made me contemplate taking my life. It's like, what the fuck? And the reason is because the world before us seemed like their ideal world. It's like, you mean a world where like the people literally just create and end life on a whim because it's their personal OC? I mean, that's why the whole thing happened in the first place. A dude by the name of Hermes. His whole thing was that he was like the dude who was supposed to like test out I don't fucking know. Like, one of the things I always found irritating growing up was when people would be like, that's not real, right, about games. Like, I know, but it's an interesting thing that I experienced. You don't need to remind me of that. But apparently some people do need to be told, hey, by the way, it's not real and it can't hurt you. Like, I literally say that every time I say, I don't care about slavery in isekai. I don't care about, like, harem in isekai. I don't care about fucking what happens in Redo of a Healer, because it's not real and it can't hurt me. Like, I think at a certain level, people just kind of forgot that they're responsible for the buttons they click and the books that they read. Like, okay, so there was like this like dude on Crush on AI who was having some problems because Crush on's bot restrictions are not super stringent, but they do have certain restrictions, like, self-harm and whatnot. And he was trying to basically, hey, Gig Assault Breaker, I don't like the shit in Redo of a Healer because it's turbo edgy, but I don't go bitching to the world about it. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not for me, but I don't need it to be for me. But yeah, fucking, like, there was a dude on, like, Crush on AI who was basically griping about how, like, his bots were getting rejected, and, I sympathize. A dude started saying that he needed to go to therapy because of the bots that he was making. It's like, I'm sorry, dude, that you can't separate fiction from reality, but a fictional scenario is not cause to go to therapy, and you're just wasting a therapist's time by getting somebody to even talk to them. It's like the FBI having to remind like the general public, hey, could you stop sending us Lulicon? We don't care about that. That's not real. You are literally cluttering up our lines with this shit. You are wasting our time. Yeah, that's the thing, EA, is like we kind of live in a weird world where instead of just saying that's not for me and moving on, a lot of people have basically like made this weird sentiment of like, if it's not for me or I don't like it, then it shouldn't be, and I'm going to moralize it. And this extends to people too. We're like, you'll get these weird people who are like, I don't like person, and therefore I hope that something bad happens to them. And I hope that everybody comes to the realization that they're a bad person because I don't like them. And like, it won't even be anything meaningful. Like, you'll see them whip out receipts or say that they have like their reasons. And their reasons will be the most asinine shit. Tumblr and its consequences, because I remember Tumblr was where a lot of this bullshit began. Let's see. Yeah, I've seen bits about Pragmata and like people being like, if you like this game, then you're a PDF. It's like, shut up, you stupid cunt. This is why your father didn't love you. This is why he left. You became your mother and she was an insufferable cunt. Yeah, isn't that the worst, but also apparently most based thing possible? Because that's me on a lot of millennials. A lot of millennials are like, radiate fatherless behavior and like obsess over like cartoons to an extent that I'll never. And I mean, like, I like cartoons. Cartoons deserve respect as like a medium, you know, that doesn't get enough appreciation in North America. But some people basically like make such a fucking to-do out of shit. Bye! Lamau, fuck off! Lamau, fuck off! Not even a boss. Yeah, it really is. I stand by what I said on that fucking like post about like current animation at the festival though. That fucking animation looks lame, but I want to suck on that bear's tits. I hate that the fucking pair with him, though, is like a zoomer with the zoomer haircut, and he's a twink. Like, I'm sorry, he didn't deserve that man. He's the kind of person I'd use the F. See. I'm in Darkvale Gate. Okay. Lamau. I mean, Oblivion's always a good game to play. Regardless of whether you're talking the original or the remake. I feel like Oblivion, in my mind, is the healthy in-between of, say, Morrowind and Skyrim, because Skyrim, in my opinion, does trim away too much. But in my opinion, the class system that is removed into Skyrim was never really a meaningful add, so... Like, oh, you're a bard. Do you play any music? Oh, you just have really good persuasion skills. Mm-hmm. So meaningful. Persuasion is a bitch to level. Like, I can probably like max out alchemy in a stream, you know, like a singular streaming afternoon, by just bouncing between areas where resources are plentiful and just hammering out potions. But like persuasion, I literally will like get to the end of the game and be like, oh, I haven't really leveled it much, even though I've talked to so many people and persuaded everybody. I'm also not the biggest fan of how, say, like, Skyrim's magic system is so pared down. Like, there's like 3 or 4 spells to any given school in Skyrim. Meanwhile, if you go to like any given like school in like the various provinces of Oblivion or areas of Cyrodiil, the fucking mage academies or mages guilds there always have like oodles of spells. Are some of them duplicates of each other? Yes. But they're still basically good duplicates, so I don't care.
Stop. You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are forfeit.
Man, if only interactions in real life were as crisp and amusing as the ones in Oblivion. Speaking of, do you know what the punishment for necrophilia is in Cyrodiil? Is it the first offense? Let's assume no. And that's 500 septims after every offense taken. Really? That's nothing compared to Morrowind. Thanks. Okay, so it is not an Elder Scrolls game without racism. But like, okay, imagine if you went somewheres and interacted with people and their basic way of like, referring to you is variations on calling you a slur. Like, promptly you are told that many Dunmer will just call you an outlander in variations of disgust. And even if they aren't saying it in disgust, they are saying it to your face. Like, they'll be like, hello, outlander. But then they'll call you Inwa, which just means outlander. And Swit, which is an even worse way of saying outlander. And then like, I love that like bit in fucking Oblivion when you interact with, I think it's the Chamberlain of the Duke of Cheydinhal, and she's an Argonian who will proceed to tell you in very brusque terms her opinions about the locals, which is a mix of slightly civilized Nords and alcoholic Dunmer. And she'll basically be like, they all suck in their own way and describe them in extremely racist ways. And then she'll be like, despite it all, I'd take the Dunmer over the Nords any day. Keeping in mind that slavery exists in Morrowind and her people are heavily enslaved by the Dunmer. Like, fucking Morrowind. Today's topic, slavery, is fucking like, quite literally on full display. Hell, there's even a quest chain if you go around freeing a bunch of slaves. Not that it's meaningful, not that it's terribly large. You literally basically get exposed to like their equivalent of the Underground Railroad. And a couple of them are pretty neat quests, but they're like done completely like tangential to the Twin Lamps. The Twin Lamps unto themselves, I added a mod once upon a time to make the quest line more enjoyable because it literally was just 2 quests and then they were done. Yeah, so the Argonians, that's because they have a hive mind. Controlled by trees. I always love that. Literally just like, the trees were all like, yeah, okay, so form ranks and let's take some territory. Yeah, they come from the trees, and the trees are basically alien to Tamriel. Not that that really means much, considering a whole lot of things in Tamriel are just fucking weird. I mean, the Khajiit and the Bosmer are technically more of a kin species than the Bosmer are to the like High Elves or the Dunmer. We're not, because they basically were born from the same primordial ooze. It's just that one was changed by Ifri and one was changed by Azura. Gonna grab all these because that's experience. The one downside about fucking Elder Scrolls games is they're probably never going to be as good in terms of release quality unmodded as their lore. I love them, but the lore is on crack, whereas the developers have a tendency to cultivate a very standard fantasy experience. So you'd almost not know that, like, the people be freaky and racist unless you're talking to certain people, the right kinds of people, the based kind of people. Yeah, it's also funny that the Khajiit apparently have like a colony on the moon, which is obscure lore, I'll point out, but it is in fact lore. Or that, like, the dude that you're oh, I'm not shitting you, Chonka. That is in fact a thing. Or Oblivion. So the Knights of the Nine content, that's the whole like Templar Crusader thing. So you're probably like, who is Palinor Whitestrike? Who is this guy that like killed Umaril the Unfeathered? He was a time-traveling, blood-powered robot who shot lasers from his chest. That's what he is, Chonka. Helena Whitestrike, EA? And it's funny because you only really know that he's a potential time traveler because of how it writes about him in the lore, where he kind of just appears. And the thing is, he was talking promptly about Talos. In fact, he went into battle and screamed for Talos while he was fighting the aliens. Now, this is kind of a big deal because Talos wouldn't be born for like 3-4 centuries. Nobody knew who the fuck Talos was at this time. These alien dudes were being attacked by this dude, shouting about somebody they have no idea about. In fact, that was before the, like the whole, the Imperial Secession and the Blood Diamond was even a thing. He came along at the time of humanity being essentially emancipated from the aliens. And that was tied in with Saint Alicia, who, by the way, went on to have Minotaur children because she fell in love with Eleanor's BFF, who was a bullheaded man who was not ostensibly a Minotaur, but they had Minotaur children. And this dude, once upon a time, at the end of Palinor Whitestrike's life, had a full-on conversation with his severed head. Basically, Palinor Whitestrike went and spoke with, like, the remnant aliens, mocked them for their, like, mixed human heritage, because the aliens were fucked up, let's just say. Experimentation and violation of human slaves was just a thing that they did. And there shouldn't even technically be half-breeds or Breton, but somehow, some way they were born. And yeah, so he critiqued them for that. So they tore him apart. Bullman comes along and he's like, oh shit, my friend, is there anything I can do? And he's like, I'm a severed head on the ground. There ain't a whole lot you can do for me. But hey, remember our adventures together? Wasn't that some shit? I think so. Paladin is some cracked out stuff. And then you start to get into the lore behind everything. Because Paladin is both a time traveler and potentially an aspect of one of the great creative forces of reality. And that aspect is basically responsible for every fucking chosen one in the timeline of Morrowind, or Morrowind Elder Scrolls. Quite literally, every time somebody is foretold by the Elder Scrolls, which are themselves fragments of eldritch knowledge, they're pieces of a time god, and everything they show can come true. But what they show is inconsistent, because it's like looking at chaos and perceiving like the general weave of possibilities. So it is prophecy in its most chaotic. When that prophecy comes to happen, that scroll becomes perfectly legible and will never change. It's as if history wrote itself in that moment. But it's because of that screwed up nature of Elder Scrolls that they're hard to read and will fucking blind you over time. It's the reason why, like, any given Moth Priest will dedicate themselves to reading one and only Elder Scroll their entire life. And every time they look at it, their vision gets worse. Finnegan's bread. I think it's more like visions and shit, but at the same time, every time a character has looked at an Elder Scroll, it has been some like cracked out runic like shit on it. Yeah, so in Oblivion, you acquire an Elder Scroll for the Thieves Guild Master, the Great Cowl, so he can invoke a spell to break the curse upon the Thieves Guild. And that's something an Elder Scroll can do. But you also need an Elder Scroll to track down the bow that can put out the sun in Skyrim. So, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, that's another thing. Fucking the Dwemer in Skyrim had machines that read them. The Dwemer were cracked out themselves. In a world of active gods, they were atheists. And this was in spite of the fact that they were actively experimenting on the heart of a still living but dead god. It's complicated. Lorkhan's complicated, and also possibly the god of humanity, possibly the one of the creator forces, possibly Sithis, possibly the main character in every game, possibly Paladin Whitestrike. I did say they were creative forces. They're not really like, they're not cohesive entities, shall we say. It's really some Eastern mythology styled, world building, basically. Sealed by chthonic energies. Must be something nearby that I have to kill. It is getting toasty in this room. But yeah, suffice to say, Elder Scrolls lore is cracked out, and it really isn't an Elder Scrolls game without racism. That reminds me, Avowed's on fucking slight sale, and I'm so tempted to actually play it. If only to see if it really is as just mid as it could possibly be. Because fucking Pillars of Eternity was some good fantasy. Agreed, Shanka. And agreed, EA. I feel like... How to put this? Look, you can make all the stories about a character being gay and making bread together and having like your beard mate or whatever. But like a setting doesn't really feel real if it doesn't have the inverse to the joy. Like I'm all for having like, you know, two characters fall in love in spite of possible societal standards. But there has to be some, shall we say, adversity. Otherwise, it doesn't really feel like it's a real world. And unfortunately, racism is born of and the spawn of much adversity. Honestly, a lot of that really fluffy, you know, no tension fantasy reads like, it reads like those childhood games where like there might have been like an antagonist, but it was never really like a real antagonist. It was more like one kid gets to be the bad guy for the day or something like that, and everybody gets to go home and eat cake. Like, it radiates the vibes of, I just don't want to feel like tension or feel bad about the turnout of things because, you know, I never learned to deal with that sort of shit. There's a reason why people say D&D has become some people's therapy session. The enemies feel like you cannot kill me. It's like, but I fucking did. Don't go in there. The ethereals have torn open a rift. More are pouring out. Will you be all right? Once things calm down, I'm sure someone will come for me. Don't worry. The Legion takes care of its own. Don't worry. I'm gonna go in there and shut the jaws of oblivion. Find Martin and shut the jaws of oblivion. Man, okay. Fucking Patrick Stewart, man. Now, the Elder Scrolls is a great example of blowing your fucking, your casting budget on expensive voice actors. Patrick Stewart comes in, absolutely slays as fucking Uriel Septim, and dies within the first hour of the game. And the funny part is, he took that role seriously. They were prepared to give him just the lines, and he was like, don't just give me the lines, give me the subtext, give me the purpose behind all of this, give me the lore. Tell me, why is he doing this and what is he talking about? Because that's the thing, is that a lot of like developers will basically like voice acting. A lot of voice actors have no idea what exactly their like lines are for. Fucking Voice Critical literally had no idea what like his lines for Sonar were for. Only that he had them. And like, even afterwards he was like, oh, it's so funny that they kept my weird sounds in. But yeah, so like a lot of developers just don't fucking know what they're writing to. Okay, incursion. I probably went further than I needed to. Let's briefly return back to Homestead.
Why do you have such a grim look on your face? What happened out there? Let's see.
Captain Somer is silent.
Bastards pull this off? We may as well slit our own throats. This scenario is well beyond my pay grade, or would be if I were getting paid. You will need to bring this to Creed's attention immediately. I've already informed Creed of your recent actions. He is most eager to speak with you. Show.
You're here. Good. We have much. I've heard of this ritual. It has been performed only once before. Serves me. Results were, shall we say, not good. The cult must not be allowed to see this through. We must make haste to Fort Icon at once. Will you join us?
Bruh, I've already been there. I couldn't go any further because y'all were fucking gatekeeping me.
With the cultist ranks scattered, we can once again reconnect with the main Legion force to the north. Just in time, too. Based on the information you've brought back from the wars, we need to immediately send all available forces to the necropolis and stop that ritual. Algrim and I will be leaving shortly with a small contingent of troops. Will you meet us at Fort Icon?
Yeah, sure.
Beyond the Astakarn Mountains, through the...
I don't need to hear it.
Situation brings back bad memories. Oh, it's nothing. I should prepare for the...
If they'll ever make another Grim Dawn, because this game is stellar. That's funny too, because the developers for this made not a sequel to the game, but a fucking colony sim. Farthest Frontier, it's actually pretty good. Though I haven't played it since it was in early access.
Good, you've arrived. Things here are in war, betrayal, sabotage, call it what you will. We've been attacked from within. The Ethereals, it seems, have gotten a hold of the commander.
Lamau. And that's the fun of a fucking minion build, is when you can basically have that many fuckers with you.
Precisely. Based on the reports, Commander Lucius has been sending our men out on futile missions, thinning out the force's defenses. Then, once the watch was sufficiently weak, he opened the gates, allowing the Ethereals to pour in. He was not counting on human ingenuity, however. Weapons Master Edric collapsed the front gates with some explosives, cutting off the enemy's forces. When we arrived with reinforcements from the south, the coward Lucius fled into the armory. Until those gates are clear, we are stuck here. I need you to enter the armory and recover what's left of the heavy explosives. Use them to clear the rubble. But beware of Lucius. He has shed his human disguise in favor of a monstrous form, which I cannot even begin to describe. We will likely have to deal with him to get to the explosives.
So, yeah, it's funny you guys make that statement, because fucking magic in, like, fantasy games is always kind of hilarious, because while it's not always nerfed into the ground, the fact of the matter is it's kind of nerfed into the ground. Because while I'm certainly not expecting, like, the combinations that you can achieve from, what was it, Wizards, Arcane, I can't remember, Magicka, the one where you just slam together elements and create various combinations to create a spell, up to and including one that just crashes your game. No, I'm not shitting you on that one. But anyways, most games nerf magic into the ground, because if it was really as absurdly powerful as it could be, like necromancy, illusions, enchantment, destruction, like you'll hear about the lore of like an insane wizard's duel that sculpted the landscape, and then you'll be like, why does my fireball not even do much damage to this bitch? And like necromancy will be reserved to summoning one dude. You'll have like one dude and you may as well have not even bothered. And then you'll get minion builds, which are like all of the skeletons. As you can probably guess, the fort's seen better days. It's going to take every able-bodied man and woman to bring Fort Icon back to its former glory. Care to lend a hand? Sure, what do I need to do? I need someone capable to enter the armory and recover what's left of our scrap and building materials. The supplies were originally designated for Homestead, but with the recent attacks, we can't afford to spare any resources. After Lucius opened the gates and the Ethereals started pouring through, I had no choice but to collapse our own gates with explosives. The repairs will take weeks, but we can't get started without supplies. Unfortunately, The possessed commander has fled into the armory, perhaps to finish the sabotaging what's left of our arsenal. I hear your experience with dealing with ethereals, so I was hoping you could look into this matter. I keep meaning to proper play Path of Exiles, but I've never gotten very far in it. Not because it's hard, but because, like, other things grab my attention.
Come see what's left of my wares.
Come see what's left of my wares. I have to give that a think. As I said, things are always fucking grabbing my attention. So the one downside of games like this is that let's see, dredge up every esoteric scrap of info about. So I'm guessing you're a little bit passionate about it, is what you're saying. Yeah, it was just an upgrade over what I had. I suck at build making, but at the same time, I also appreciate that the internet got a lot of people who have builds pre-existing that I can just plunk in. And if the game allows for mad science work, it usually has some cracked out stuff you can do. The game Rift Online was pretty good for that, ish. Their balancing was fucking terrible, but still. It was one of those, how to put this? So Bo has this, shall we say, habit of picking interesting classes that are the bottom bitch of the developers. And like, when we played it, he wanted to play a certain like form of warrior. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't viable, and it also wasn't considered support. Keep in mind, this is a game that had like an established support role. Let's say you could roll in as, say, a bard, which is like a variant of rogue. But like, for whatever reason, the obvious support class of warrior just didn't get flagged as support. And everybody else wanted to go as a pet class, but Bo hates pet classes because pets are always something that you have to manage and they die and you have to bring them back. Personally, I enjoy pet classes because, I mean, yeah, your pets die, but while they're alive, they consume your enemies' faces.
Put it to good use.
That's locked.
Wars is another game that I never really got into much. And it's funny because we skipped right over Guild Wars 1 and played Guild Wars 2. And personally, I didn't enjoy Guild Wars 2. Of course, Guild Wars 2's had a bunch of expansions that Lamau walked back their creative philosophy. So, you know, I feel vindicated over that. The creative philosophy was retarded, by the way. It was quite literally, we need to get rid of the privilege that tank and healers have. So we're going to make it so that you can't be a tank or a healer. There's nobody to manage the aggro and nobody to heal your hurts. All you get is this like little shitty thing, a signet that can heal you every so often, and you have to dodge. Have I mentioned that the damage is not exactly perfectly dodgeable? There were some fights where you were just going to take shit damage. There was this one dungeon, I think it was called Sorrow's Embrace. And it was kind of quasi an open dungeon, which benefited us because it had a council boss in it that basically would throw out 2 waves of kind of like a burn damage fire on you. The first attack was dodgeable. The second attack was not. If it was, you had to be picture perfect. And if you weren't picture perfect, have fun getting like chipped down to death. And then, you know, we basically got into a situation where we were just like in a cycle. A person would like die and run back, engage the boss just in time so that the like other player who died ahead of you would like, you know, like be able to run back in turn and the boss wouldn't reset itself. And we did that for 30 fucking minutes. Suffice to say, I don't have the fondest recollections of Guild Wars 2. It's a pretty game, but it's kind of frustrating, and also the writing after a bit was bad. Also, I can't stand the fact that it was one of the early live service games. They called it The Living Story. Enough of fucking living about it. After a bit, it's like you'd feel like, what is even the plot to this? You'd never know, because they'd taken the storylines out of it. You know, vaulted the content. Destiny 2 wasn't the first to do that. Yeah, it's pretty reasonable, Salt. Like, I don't know. I couldn't really get into Guild Wars 2. That's sad, but like the aesthetics is actually pretty neat. But goddamn. Also, like, it was one of those early games heavily influenced by like politics. In the worst ways. And it wasn't even like lefty politics only. Like, okay, the reason Divinity's Reach had like a massive gaping thrusty hole in one area of the city is because, yeah, so ArenaNet was originally owned by NCSoft or whatever. And if memory serves, that massive gaping hole in the city is where its, I think, Asian quarter was. NCSoft is Korean, and I want to say their Asian like archetype was heavily based off of Japan. So there's a gaping thrusty hole in the city because they were like, we don't like that form of Asian, get rid of that form of Asian. See, I have successfully infiltrated the fort as you commanded. It's ironic that the commander of this garrison is one of the weakest minds I have ever encountered. There's so much turmoil and fear that resides with him. He was easy to manipulate and overwhelm. While I do have full control of his body, there's something in the region that tampers with direct communication. Something tainted and ancient. Anything capable of such an act demands further investigation. I write this correspondence in the meantime. Fort Icon has proven to be a challenge for us, and now I understand why. The vast stores of weapons and war machines the humans have amassed is staggering. It's a wonder they have not exterminated themselves in the endless pursuit of warfare and self-destruction. Nevertheless, everything moved according to our grand plan. I have already taken steps to sabotage the armory, planted evidence leading to several deserters. Nobody suspects my involvement. But the main reason I have deemed it necessary to report to you comes from the most unexpected discovery. The anomaly, the revealer of secrets, walks among these humans and even now shares with them our plans. We have since adjusted our projections in the region, ensuring that anything that the anomaly reveals is of no use to the humans. But its knowledge of our ways could still prove detrimental to our success in this world. For now, I have begun to sow seeds of distrust about the anomaly to the humans. Their fear is so great that they had it moved to the prison, where it remains. Once my sabotage is complete, the gates are open. Fort Icon will fall. Then we can deal with the traitor as we see fit. Hey, Fal!
work down there. We need to secure a forward position. We cannot simply march our forces straight into the necropolis. The cult's minions will descend upon us.
This is base campaign.
Rush before we can even get near the tomb of the Watchers.
There's also DLC content.
Unique skills to use. Make your way into the necropolis past the plains of strife and secure the nearest rift gate. What?
With the ethereal attack, I cannot allow this deception to carry on any longer. Anastasia, the witch who was allowed to enter our fold, must be put down. The Inquisitors insist that she not be harmed. But the trust he has in her is misplaced. Commander Lucius was an honorable man, a dedicated soldier up until he was possessed by the ethereals. I refuse to believe that Anastasia's witchcraft was not involved. Why does Creed want her kept safe?
Have you secured the rift gate?
My, what a curiosity you are.
What is this? A human and yet not. There is an aura about you. Stranger, but I cannot sense the spirit. Tell me, what fate has befallen you? I was possessed by an ethereal, but it left me at the hangman's noose. What a marvel you are. They say that to become one with an ethereal, you must lose all that defines you, but it seems there is more of a mystery than rumors lets on. The ethereal holds many the ether holds many secrets, but few are held from me. There are those who fear such power, but that is why you're here, no? Captain Reeves wants you dead. That's a surprise, but that man is, it made it no secret that he despises me. He branded me a witch and called me for my execution. Why does he hate you so? I have great talent for manipulating the ether, and I have dabbled in divination, which I suppose is where the superstitious soldier draws his ire. Everyone claims they want to know the future until they eventually hear it out. It is difficult to separate the bad from the good when so much pain awaits a mortal in their lifetime. You know, I should play fucking Kingdoms of Amalur on stream at some point. That plays into this concept super good. Like, being a Fate Weaver is like an ubiquitous thing in the setting. But because of how, like, bad the future's been for, like, decades, Fate Weavers as a guild fell apart, and they're no longer really, like, a liked thing. Because nobody wants to hear about how, like, oh, yeah, you're gonna die because, like, a Tuatha De Danann came along and stabbed you in the kidneys. And there's no avoiding that because fate is given. The Good Inquisitor considers my knowledge of the ether and the ability to foresee the ethereal's attacks to be great value, something many in the Legion have trouble grasping. Creed has a personal request that I be kept safe, so that I would be... I need to think about this.
My, what a curiosity you are.
See, I assure you I came to the Legion with the full intent of helping. My information has already saved many lives. Very well. Now that we've put that unpleasantness behind us, nobody in the Legion will help me, but perhaps you will. What's wrong? With all the commotion during the ethereal attacks, I'm afraid that most of my personal stores were damaged. If I am to continue, I will gather these. Lamau. Wonderful. These should last me for some time. Say, have you ever heard the tale of the great beast Baronath? No, but I'd like to hear it. It is a legend as old as time. It seems the countless retellings of different heroes and sometimes even different creatures. In each of them, a great hero tracks down a monster that's been tormenting local villages. The hunt takes the hero 10 long years through the Forgotten Lands to the far-off shores, but it always ends atop a mountain where Baranoth is impaled upon a spear of bone. The creature plummets from the peak. From its spilled blood were born the fiends and monsters we dread to this day. The details are muddled in folklore, but one fact remains constant. Baranoth once lived. To have a piece of such ancient lineage could prove useful to my spell work, and I believe I know where one such spawn of Baranoth dwells. The people of Burwich call it Kaliska, the Bone Hunter. It hunts within the area called Eastmarsh, but makes its dwelling up in the crags. Okay.
I can't open that.
Which? Eastmarch, okay. Burwich Village. Lamau. Have fun. Lamau, I guess this area don't level. Oh, that's a lot of dudes. Die. Oh, that's not great. That dude found cannibals. Or beasts that look like human meat.
I can't do that yet.
Imagine basically like brutally killing everything in an area because they're looking for one thing. But like in so doing, you solve several problems because the one thing you were looking was like annoying to find. But you found like a blood worshipping cult, cannibal barbarians in the woods. And then finally the great beast Cthulhu, who was honestly not really as big of a problem to like the greater area than anybody else. Found a journal by Ouroboros. Kind of a big deal, considering his own disciples don't know where the fuck he is. Something powerful is coming from the beyond. I have sensed it approaching for some time. But like a dream, some distant memory, the details were lost me until now. I can feel it clawing its way through the veil somewhere in the northeast of Burwich. No doubt drawn here by the maelstrom of otherworldly corruption. I dare say its nature eludes even me. But it is neither flesh nor spirit. I must discover what it is before we are facing should the need arise. Seal it away again behind the barrier between worlds. The Order need not be concerned itself with these matters quite yet. I must do this alone. So yeah, that's Ouroboros. He's a very ancient necromancer. Not a bad sword as far as necromancy goes. Okay. I would find good necromancers to be kind of like an interesting concept because by all rights, necromancy in the purest sense isn't necessarily a bad thing. Necromancy is in reality, like in the real world, just oracular readings through, you know, literally death. And it usually involves like throwing of the bones and whatnot. Curious, what the fuck was that? Because man, I brittle sometimes.
That's locked.
Whatever. Ah, my only friend in this accursed fort has returned. What do you need? To believe that the Arcovians had access to powerful divination magic, but the technique became lost when their civilization succumbed to the necromancer's curse. I believe that we could recover this practice with the right information. Tome known as the Archive of Fates Untold is the possession of an Arcovian named the Shade of Elner Anadran. You must enter the steps of torment in the Broken Hills, cross the ancient gates, and banish an Elnadrin. Acquire its tome and bring it back to me. Okay, sure. But that, I think, will come at another time. I am going to find somebody to raid. Let me find a person. Any person. I'm gonna go with Homicide. I don't think I've ever rated them. Homicide _. Oh, okay. Thanks for tuning in, all. I appreciate your viewership and all that. I'm not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think I will be doing any stream tomorrow. I'm not even sure if me and the guys are doing anything, because Bo will basically, not be streaming. But if we're doing something, I'm still not streaming it, because I like to give the guys slur privileges when we're doing no streams. So anyways, thank you for tuning in. I have been Paladin Ashe. I hope you have a good afternoon, evening, morning, and good night. Ciao.